Good afternoon, viewers. It's January 26, 2012. We're in Gravenhurst this afternoon, and we're going to try and catch up with Paul Brackley of Brackley Boats. Paul recently had an enlarged door put on his shop in Gravenhurst here, and he's installing, or has installed rather, for restoration, a huge Chris Craft cabin cruiser. So let's go in and see what stage Paul's at with that. Here we are again, viewers, inside Paul's shop, and we're going to speak loudly because work cannot stop here. This is a full-time operation going full tilt. Paul's going to just describe briefly the Chris Craft that has come into the shop.
Hi, thanks, Bob. Well, we finally got the boat in, and we've got the scaffolding built to work on it, and we're slowly going over it and replacing bits and pieces that need doing. If you want to come around the back, I can show you that. I'm working on the transom. This is my job right now, and it's growing. It's getting bigger all the time. We just keep finding more and more stuff that needs dealt with. There's some bad frames. There's some bad ribs. There's some bad transom framing, as you can see here. Okay. And now I'm into the chine, and I don't know how far that's going to go yet. You can see over here, if you watch your step, you can see that I'm into some serious problems on the keel. In there.
Rot right down through the bottom there.
It is, and there's rot in this chine as well, and rot in this plank, in this frame, and all these were bad on the end, so I have to splice all these down.
Paul, if it's peripheral rot and not throughout the entire board, can it be saved, or is it, even if there's something sort of, even if the edges are soft, you basically have to replace the board, or can you epoxy it or strengthen it somehow?
It doesn't. Epoxying doesn't really stop anything. It depends on. They say that the spores from rot can travel like 2 feet along the grain, so you really need to encompass a fairly large area if you can. Okay. When you go to replace. Otherwise, you'll be replacing it again later on. In fact, everything I'm replacing here was a repair already. Wow. So I'm replacing all the repairs that were done and going a bit further. They probably either didn't go far enough, or my understanding is that rot likes to travel, or likes new wood more than old wood. I don't know why that is, but that's what I've always been told. Right. So all the new wood was completely shot. I mean, you put your finger right through it. So we have to replace all that, plus a little bit more.
When would
seems to be good, though.
When would the former repairs have been done? Do you know?
I don't know. The owner wasn't sure. So I probably at least 10 years ago, at least, because the previous owner owned it for 20 years, and he didn't seem to. He thought some work had done, but he wasn't sure. So I'm going to say at least 10. Right. Maybe it was 20 years prior to his owner. Okay. So this is certainly becoming a major job. It is. It is a huge job, and there's more work than we wanted.
You can see Paul Brackley's son up there working on the superstructure at the top, and you can see the size of this boat and the massive amount of space it takes up in Paul's shop. There are 2 or 3 people going full tilt on this boat for a full working week. It's going to be beautiful when it's done. As you can see, viewers, Paul has replaced some of the deck boards and a partial stem replacement. I guess, Paul, it was rotten near the top. And, windshield's out, of course.
Now we're replacing these trim pieces were really wet and holding in a lot of moisture, so we took them out to rebed them and reinstall them, and then we find more rot in behind where the trim was, so we're going to have to replace some pieces in there, and it goes into the decking, so we're going to have to replace a couple of pieces of decking as well. Right. Similar as up there. Yes. And these tow rails and part of the gunnels here on the deck, I don't know if you can see those, but they're supposed to continue right to the stem. They're
yes, of course.
Right now.
Okay.
And the gunnel, of course.
Big job.
Yes.
Here we're looking at the exposed stern of the Chris Craft, viewers. Paul's reminded me that this is a 1936 Chris Craft, a 35-footer. And once again, you can see the intensive work that's going on here.
Back here we're replacing, well, it needs a new floor. First of all, they're putting a solid teak floor in. And while we've got the floor, we're putting in 2 new fuel tanks and a tank, a diesel tank as well for the cockpit heater. Runs off diesel.
For goodness sake.
So that has to be dealt with. All the floor framing has to be replaced. So there'll be fuel lines and fuel filters, and there's a problem with the steering. One of the bushings was rotten, so we're fixing that, and it goes on and on and on.
This is one mammoth project for sure.
And that's the shower. Has an aft deck shower that we have to replumb and reinstall. And the back combing is split, so we have to address that as well. They didn't have a boarding ladder, so people were grabbing the combing and pulling really hard on it until it split, so we have to put a boarding ladder out there as well.
Wow. This is all mahogany, Paul, of course.
The whole boat's Philippine mahogany,
Okay.
which is what Chris Craft used quite a bit of.
And is that what you're replacing it with?
Yes, we're using the same mahogany. It's the only way to match the color and make it look like it did.
Of course. Interesting to note, viewers, it's really quite a small aft deck. It's probably only about 2 meters in length. The earlier Chris has obviously put more value on enclosed space in their cabin heaters. We've turned the camera around here, viewers, so you can see the aft cabin. Paul's reminding me that they're going to be doing some new flooring and some other work. Looks like the portholes are going to be resealed, Paul.
Yeah, he wants them all polished, so we've taken them all out. They've sent out to a polisher.
Viewers, it makes you realize, it's a silly comment in a sense, but it makes you realize just how much wood there is in a vessel this size. It's unbelievable.
There's a lot of wood. It's all going to be refinished. The interior is going to be gone over by an interior designer that's coming to meet with us very soon. And they'll be picking out the curtains and the colors and flooring and stuff like that. So
the owner is sparing no expense to really do it right.
No, he's not.
Here we are in the main salon, viewers, and the helm. Obviously major work going on in this area of the vessel as well. You can see perhaps that Paul has, the roof is still on the boat, but it's been raised. Why is that, Paul? Was it necessary to lift the roof?
We took the engines out, so right where you're standing is where the engines go, and we had to take the roof off to get them out. We had to do it outside because we don't have the ceiling height or a gantry high enough to take them out, so we had a backhoe come in and pull them out, and they took the roof off too. This roof is really heavy.
Wow.
So, but we had to take the roof off anyways because the gasket was shot and it was just leaking like a sieve in here all around the edge. In fact, it's rotted out. All the water running down here has rotted out all these panels, buckled all these plywood panels here. Okay. So we have to replace a section of that, and it's rotten in behind.
Wow.
And it's rotten where Jay's working, mainly because of this roof leaking. So we have to put a new gasket, new bedding compound, and refasten the whole unit. And after the engines go back in, of course. They're out getting serviced right now.
Okay. Viewers, we're in the forward compartment of the Chris Craft, and the light's very poor here. There's a head at the very front of the boat with a small sink and toilet, of course. And into the galley section. It's a pretty simple galley. A couple of burner stove and a sink, countertops, of course, shelving space. And on the port side of the vessel we have a couple of berths.
You need a hand with that?
I'm not sure of the length of those, but I suspect that some of us taller folk would need to curl up a little bit to fit inside.
And Mike, can you
Looking toward the stern of the main salon again. And Paul certainly anticipates spending many more weeks on this boat before it's finished. When it is finished, viewers, we're going to do our best to get back to you. And I'm sure there'll be an official celebration of some sort. And we hope that we'll be able to let you see Paul's final finished work on this massive project. Over and out. Viewers, this is Ian. Ian has been working on the tow rails for the bow of the Chris Craft. And Ian tells me that it's because of the bend. They tried to bend, I guess, a thicker piece of mahogany.
Yeah, the piece is right here.
Which snapped because, I guess, of the thickness. It just wouldn't take the strain of the bend.
Broken right through in the center.
even with steam. Yeah, so what they've done is they've taken some pieces and laminated them. And what kind of a glue would you use on this?
That's epoxy.
That's epoxy, okay. And that's a huge job in itself. Just mounting a 3 or 4 foot section of the tow rail on the bow. Hours and hours of work. And it looks like they're doing a beautiful job. Thank you very much.
Welcome.